Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Checking's working.
Oh, this one? Oh, yeah. I need that's that money green.
Got the can of crap.
Oh, with the Tennessee.
All right, you ready for me? All right. All the clapping. All right, clapping. Yes. All right, I have a proclamation here. Actually, this is what, your second one? I guess every 5 years the city recognizes this outstanding company. It says, whereas the city of Kenner benefits from the dedication and commitment of Claudia and Raphael Shabbatai. It always gets me. By means of their radio show known as Supplemento, whereas Claudia and Raphael have dedicated 20 years of service to the broadcast industry by hosting a cultural radio show on Saturday mornings oriented towards the Spanish-speaking community. The program features news, interviews, music, and other topics such as health and legal matters. Whereas while the show was interrupted for a few months due to Hurricane Katrina, Supplemento has aired since January 4th, 2003 on KGLA 1540 AM and 105.7 FM. Raphael is a journalist with over 40 years of experience, and Claudia majored in international commerce and trade. Whereas born in Argentina, the Shabbatais have longtime Kenner residents since 2001. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Michael Glazer, along with the members of the Kenner City Council and Chief of Police Keith Conley, do hereby congratulate the Shabbatais for the 20th year anniversary of their radio show, Supplemento. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
You got it.
Thank you.
And they also do, during after disasters and all, they do provide services to the city, so we'll keep them around a little longer, but we don't want the disasters and emergencies.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I want to call the meeting to order. We are actually starting a couple minutes early today, so hopefully we don't offend anybody by doing that. I would like to ask the council or anyone if they have any special intentions today. Councilmember Brennan.
Thank you, Council Chair. Yes, please remember two long-term Kenner residents that recently and very unexpectedly both passed away, Michael Cobb, a Woodlake resident, and Chris Marino, who was also a long-term Woodlake resident. Chris and Mike both were very much involved in the Divine Mercy Parish, St. Elizabeth Seton School. Chris worked for Budweiser and always ran the beer booth at the fair for Divine Mercy and was very much involved with Mrs. Pigglesworth. Please keep those men and their families in your prayer, please. Thank you.
Also, I would like to mention, I know everybody saw the football player that got hurt. DeMar Hamlin got hurt. DeMar Hamlin, he seems to be doing better now. I know it really doesn't affect the city of Kenner, but we have athletes here too, and it was amazing to see the reaction from the stadium and the people and how everything happened on Monday night. Okay, I'd like to ask Councilmember Dunn to lead us in prayer.
Let us all bow our heads. Our God and our Father, as we come together once again this hour in the evening, dear God, Father, we just want to tell you thank you. You allowed all of us to cross over and see another year, a year that was never promised to us, dear God, but you allowed it, and we just want to tell you thank you, sir. God, whatever happened in the past, we're going to move forward with your help. But we are asking today, dear God, that this council, the mayor, the police chief, and all that make up this administration, and the residents of Kenner, that we come together, dear God, for one purpose and one purpose alone, and that is to move the city of Kenner forward as one city. And dear Master, I pray tonight that you would give all of us wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, that as we move forward, dear God, the decisions that we make will be made in the betterment of the people. And Father, you said to ask, and we're asking this tonight. Thank you, dear God, for the love that is shown among the people of Kenner right now, for all the doors that you've opened, dear God, for newness, for new feel. But most of all, my Father, you've been in the midst of us. We can't pay you tonight, but we can sure tell you thank you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Councilmember Dunn. I'd like to ask Councilmember Wilmot to lead us in the pledge. Thank you, Councilmember Wilmot. Council Clerk?
Yes, sir. You have a quorum this evening. In accordance with Council Resolution Number B14550, please be advised that all cellular telephones and other devices of this nature must be deactivated or silenced throughout the council meeting. We have correspondence, reports from the mayor, CAO, or department heads.
Mayor Glazer?
Thank you. Well, as I said last time, we online registration for basketball and soccer. Tomorrow is the last day, so anyone interested in the Kenner recreation programs, you got till tomorrow to register. And also, on that note, I'd like to thank the Discovery School basketball coaches for holding a clinic last Thursday that was pretty well attended. Somewhere around, 50 kids attended on a Thursday morning, before 10 o'clock. So it was actually well attended. So hopefully that carries on and continues. And I am going to have a presentation from the Jefferson Parish Human Services Authority. They've been making their rounds at council meetings, letting the public know those services that they offer. So not to take up any more time, I don't know how many of them showed up and who's talking. Rich, you talking? Okay. They'll.
Okay.
And I told Rich I'm throwing him out at 3 minutes.
Good evening. Thank you for having us. My name is Rosanna DeCaro. I'm the Executive Director of Jefferson Parish Human Services Authority. We are here tonight to talk to you about a couple of our different programs that we have, and I'm actually going to turn it over to the actual individuals that are in those programs working to let you know what they do.
My name is Will Laird. I'm a peer program support supervisor at JPHSA. I'm also a social worker. And what we do is we run the homeless outreach program at JPHSA. I'm sure everybody has seen the growing homeless problem. And one of the things that we're trying to do is prevent it from growing to the severity of our neighboring parishes like Orleans. Some of the interventions that we're trying to put in place right now are we send outreach teams into the community to engage these individuals, help identify what the antecedents to homelessness are, help get them vital documentations, and help link them to services such as primary care, mental health care, and help fit them toward eligibility for longer-term housing options. Since we started this program, some of the family compositions that we've dealt with, it gets easy when we're talking about homelessness to imagine a specific type of person or to ascribe specific characteristics to them. We see them on the corners, we see them, by the traffic lights, and you see them. And if you're like me, you have the very real human response of, what are you doing? Get a job. Let's do something besides what you're doing right now. But the reality of the data that I've gathered is the family compositions of the individuals that we've served. We've got a large number of veterans. We have single parents with multiple children that are living in cars and storage units. We have a diverse composition of family relationships that we've intervened on and provided these services for. The data shows that 86% of the individuals we've intervened on have previous addresses in our parish. So these aren't outliers coming here. These are people in our community. And so what we're hoping to do while we're going to all these city council meetings and while we're engaging all of the stakeholders is we are trying to partner with you guys. We want you guys to have our information. We want you guys to know how to contact us so that we can intervene in these services. Our police forces have a very serious job, and part of that job often gets reallocated to dealing with some of these social problems, and that's where we come in. So I'm going to turn it over to my partner, Rich, and he can tell you more specifically about the types of services we provide, and we do look forward to working with you guys in the future.
How y'all doing? My name's Rich Casabon. I work with the Homeless Outreach. I'm a team member. There's 3 of us also that work in this little team that we have. So a couple of things we do is we provide excuse me, services as far as getting them set up with mental health and primary care appointments through JPHSA. We also get them, we do assessments, and then we can also help them fill out applications for housing throughout the parish and other entities. We do not provide housing, we just help them facilitate the applications for that. We also can help them with IDs if they need IDs. We also we have a place on the West Bank that they can go if they have to have like immediate mental health, and we can get them in there within that afternoon or by the next morning. So that's some of the things that we can do. We also drive around. We take calls. If y'all contact us, we try and get out there as quick as possible to engage the the clients. We do have to realize that they're not all going to be, very receptive to us at first, and we understand that. So we constantly will go back, and a lot of times after, I'd say maybe 3 or 4 times, they start, once they kind of see our face, and they kind of see what we're doing, they tend to be a little bit more easygoing with us. We have to realize that this population has come on hard times, just like any of us have maybe gone through. And they're human beings just like we are. And we have to realize that. Sometimes that tends to get lost in the shuffle of what we're doing. And last but not least, we can be better. We just have to be willing to be. Thank you.
Any questions from us?
Do you have a contact number?
The flyer that was handed out has the phone number on there. I have more if you guys want extras.
That's the 584 number? Okay.
Yes, that's the phone number. It goes directly to our case managers that are in the community. And so, like Rich was saying, call that number. They'll go out within the day, the next day, if it's the late part of the afternoon. You can keep those. Yeah, keep those, hand them out, put them everywhere. Any other questions?
Yes, please. First off, thank you for being here, and thank you all for everything that you do for that community. It's very much appreciated. And I apologize. I heard Mr. Casabon say his name. Would you just give me your name again, please, ma'am?
Rosanna DeCiro.
Okay. And the other gentleman was?
Will Laird.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Any other questions?
Thank you for coming and making the presentation.
No problem. Thank you. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Thank you very much. Have a lovely evening.
All right, thank you all again for coming. And every time that we receive a phone call in the mayor's office, Amy Vallow reaches out to them, and they've already made contact with these people. So they're on top of it before we even get some phone calls sometimes. So very well worth it. So don't hesitate to call them. That's it for me.
Thank you, Mayor Glazer. Council Clerk?
Yes, sir. Under resolutions, motions, and other items from the floor, we have none. Under the consent agenda, we have item 1, approval of minutes, the regular council meeting of December 16, 2022. And that will conclude the consent agenda.
Have a motion by Councilmember Wilmot, seconded by Councilmember McKinney. Council members, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Under the public appearance agenda, we have item 8, public hearings for final passage. Item 8A is a public hearing regarding summary ordinance number 13,124. An ordinance amending Chapter 10, Licenses and Taxation, Article 10, Permits for Public Gatherings, Section 10-200, Permit for Conduct of Public Gatherings for Profit, Nonprofit, or Charitable Purposes, Part L2, Fee Increases of the Kenner Code of Ordinances.
Have a motion by Councilmember McKinney, seconded by Councilmember Brannigan to open the public hearing. Council members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. We're now in a public hearing.
Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address the council on this piece of legislation? Seeing none, we have a motion by Councilmember McKinney, second by Councilmember Brannigan to close the public hearing. Council members in favor say aye.
Aye.
Council members opposed say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0.
Motion by Councilmember McKinney, second by Councilmember Brannigan to close, approve the legislation.
Mr. Chairman, I've received a request to amend this item tonight by the legal department. In the legislation, you will note that Section L, Subpart 2 was included with a strike-through. That section will not be removed, so we will be deleting that from this legislation. L, Subpart 2 is not being removed, okay?
Okay.
So if I could get a motion and a second to amend on the amendment?
Got a motion by Councilmember McKinney, second by Councilmember Brannigan on the amendment. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0 to amend.
I have a motion by Councilmember McKinney, second by Councilmember Brannigan to approve the amended legislation. All council members in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 9 is ordinances for the sale, purchase, transfer, lease, and/or alienation of immovable property. We have none. Item 10 is opening of bids. We have none. Item 11 is reclassification of zoning for final passage. We have none. Item 12 is other ordinances for final passage. We have none. Item 13 is resolutions and motions by council members. We have none. Item 14 is items removed from the consent agenda. We have none. Item 15 is acceptance of contracts and similar matters approved by the mayor. Item 15A is summary ordinance number 13,125. An ordinance authorizing the administration to utilize the existing Jefferson Parish contract number 55-20532 with Pipeworks Plumbing and Demolition LLC for demolition of dangerous buildings, debris removal, and other services on an as-needed basis for the Department of Inspection and Code Enforcement.
We have a motion by Councilmember Hatt, second by Councilmember Dunn. Do we have any discussion on this item?
Yeah, I have one. I have one
Councilmember
question.
Dunn.
I just want to know, did I misread this, that the difference in the price of the contract was like $2 million? Did I mean, in the bid process?
Yeah, so this is a piggyback bid from Jefferson Parish. It's just gonna be an as-needed contract. Clearly, we're not gonna spend $2 million in demolition expenses. There's about $80,000 budgeted remaining right now in codes demo. And just keep in mind, when we demo private property, it gets liened. It gets attached to their property tax bill, and so they would owe us. So we front the money to get the demolition done, and then we put a lien against their property. So, but it's just a as-needed contract. It won't be the full $2 million.
The whole idea of piggybacking on Jefferson Parish's contract is it has provisions in there to allow for infill of swimming pools if they're abandoned. It also allows for, when necessary and funds are available, possible boarding of abandoned structures that have been come open and unsecured, which I know you and I have talked about some of those in your area. And it's just to allow us to move forward faster and a piggyback demo. But as Ms. Herring mentioned, our budget right now annually is $100,000, and we have about $80,000 left. So we're very limited on what we can spend. The basic need is the language in it allowing for possible board ups and infill of swimming pools.
Yeah, and if I can just add, so Jefferson Parish's original bid was that high, but their contract they did with Pipeworks is $800,000. So as you can see, the bid was much higher, but you decide how much you think you're gonna need and contract that out.
Thank you.
Councilmember Wilmot?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mine is more, my question is more of a procedural one. At the end of the actual legislation, it doesn't have who sponsored it. If we can add that, whoever that might be. At the bottom of 15A, there is no name submitted by or sponsored by. Who would that be? Yeah, okay. And if we can add that? So if we, I guess
The clerk will correct it. We will add that in.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you.
Do we need to amend it to add?
No, you don't.
Okay. All right. Anyone else? Councilmember Swart?
Ms. Elizabeth, when the property has been sold and we get the money back, where does that money go? Does it go back to code enforcement, or does it just go back into the coffers?
I'm sorry, what was does it go back
Like,
to
once
where?
the property has, the house has been torn down, the property has been sold, okay? Where does
So-
that money go back to?
When we create a lien, we create a receivable, and it sits there until it's paid, and then that receivable's cleared out. So it's not going to a department. It creates a receivable, and then it would just offset. If it never if the property owner never pays their bill, we would take it to tax sale, and then the same thing happens. So, and if someone doesn't buy it, it could get adjudicated to the city, and then there's procedures to take possession.
Okay, so it gets back distributed to,
Yes.
to the,
Just like general fund paid for it, and it just goes back. Yeah.
okay, that's what I wanted, thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion by Councilmember Lahat, seconded by Councilmember Dunn to approve. Council members in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Council members opposed, nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 15B is summary ordinance number 13,126. An ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from ARCO Company Services Incorporated for the rental of emergency power equipment post-disaster on an as-needed basis in accordance with sealed bid number 22-6700 and an amount not to exceed $680,982 for the Department of Field Services.
We have a motion by Councilmember Brennan, second by Councilmember Schwartz for approval. Do we have any discussion on this item? The only thing that I noticed on the item is the second bidder was DRC Services, and I know we're familiar with them. And this bid was $680,000, and theirs was $2.9 million. So big, big, big difference. We have a motion by Councilmember Brennan, second by Councilmember Schwartz. Council members in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Council members opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 15C is summary ordinance number 13,127, an ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid to purchase emergency airlifting bags for heavy rescue in accordance with letter bid 22-2023 for the City of Kenner Fire Department. Mr. Chairman, we've received a request to remove this item from the agenda.
Okay. I have a motion by Councilmember Brennan, second by Councilmember Brannigan to remove the item. Council members in agreement, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 16 is ordinances and resolutions in summary for first reading. Item 16A is an ordinance authorizing the City of Kenner to hold a public auction on February 9, 2023 to sell surplus movable property no longer needed for public purpose and setting the terms and disposition of proceeds from the sale. Item 16B is an ordinance approving a cooperative endeavor agreement with the Parish of Jefferson to fund purchasing flock safety automated license plate recognition system cameras for the Kenner Police Department. Item 16C is an ordinance authorizing the reimbursement of City of Kenner employees for providing their personal vehicle and wireless telephone. Item 16D is an ordinance approving change order number 3, final to the agreement with Ram J Construction LLC dated October 13, 2021 regarding Lincoln Manor Subdivision Drainage Improvements Project, Facility Planning and Control Project number 50-MF1-20-01, City of Kenner Project number PW-2020-6-DR for a decrease of $92,772.80 for the Department of Public Works. Item 16E is an ordinance approving an agreement with the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development, State Project number H.015087, Federal Aid Project number H.015087 for Kenner Discovery School sidewalks. Item 16F is an ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from Howell Fencing to furnish and install vinyl fencing at various locations in accordance with letter bid number 22-2033 in the amount of $24,500 for the Department of Public Works. Item 16G is an ordinance authorizing the use of Louisiana Department of Agriculture and Forestry state contract number 4400021173 with Macro Companies Incorporated to purchase emergency on-demand fuel and supplies on an as-needed basis during a declared emergency for the Fleet Management Department. Item 16H is an ordinance approving amendment number 1 to the agreement with W.J. Blocher Company LLC to provide professional services, labor only for fixtures, lamps, and wiring on an as-needed basis, increasing the not-to-exceed amount by $100,000 annually for a total not-to-exceed amount of $300,000 annually for the Department of Field Services. Item 16I is an ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from Beacon Air Conditioning, Heating, and Refrigeration Incorporated to furnish and install a 5-ton gas package unit at Heritage Hall in accordance with letter bid 22-2030 in the amount of $12,499 for the Department of General Services. Item 16J is an ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received to furnish and install fencing on an as-needed basis in accordance with sealed bid number 22-6703 for the Department of Parks and Recreation. Item 16K is an ordinance ratifying the emergency placement of the in-plant lift station electrical control panel by Control Systems Incorporated in the amount of $39,943 for the Department of Wastewater. Item 16L is an ordinance ratifying the emergency replacement of 3 in-plant lift station pumps by DXP doing business as Delta Process Equipment in the amount of $68,070 for the Department of Wastewater. Item 16M is an ordinance ratifying the emergency repair of West Stanford and West Loyola Lift Station Pump Number 2 by Fluid Process and Pumps LLC in the amount of $15,776 for the Department of Wastewater. Item 16N is an ordinance ratifying the emergency replacement of 3 16-inch check valves for the 35th and Ole Miss Lift Station by Innovative Flow System Solutions Incorporated in the amount of $29,640 for the Department of Wastewater. Item 16O is an ordinance ratifying the emergency repair of the 10th and Maria Lift Station Pump Number 2 by Precision PSI LLC in the amount of $28,967.52 for the Department of Wastewater. Item 17 is reports from the council and/or special committees. Item 18 is new business. We have none. Item 19 is unfinished business and motions to reconsider or remove from a tabled position. We have none. Item 20 is persons wishing to address the council on special subject matters.
First on the list, Mr. Al Morella. You have 3 minutes. Please state your name and address.
Al Morella, 4260 East Monroe Drive, 5th District, 51 years. Okay? First, I want to talk about an item, unfinished business from last meeting. 15F, it was a contract with Comtech for community development. There was no dollar amount on the agenda of the contract. So we had an existing contract for $20,000.
Mr. Morella, your time is up.
Thank you very much. And anybody got any comments, any questions? Thank you.
Mr. Matt Hotard. State your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, sir. Matt Hotard, 66 Red Oak, County, Louisiana. My name's Matthew Hotard. Most of you know who I am, but I'm also I'm an operator for the Kenner Fire Department, but I'm also the president of the local 1427, which is our Firefighters Association. Happy New Year to everybody. I want to talk about three things tonight. The first thing is, I believe it was in November, the mayor and his staff addressed our promotional pay, which has been wrong in the fire department for many years. In fact, it's actually been illegal for quite some time. The mayor and his staff said that they were going to address it. They were going to put so much money towards fixing this problem. And also, we were notified that our chief and that I believe the city was also helping to work with those to get those numbers right. The association, as well as the department, I'm sure, want to make sure that these numbers are proper and are correct when going forward, so there aren't any other further problems or any discrepancies. We did ask for a copy of that. I'm coming here to tell you that because I want to be extremely transparent to let you guys know and everyone here know that we want to make sure that we're working together with the department. Although I am part of the department, the association is separate, and we work together, the department, to make sure that this is right. Another thing I wanted to bring to your attention is we've talked a lot about the pay. Some of you are new on this board, some of you have been here for a while. So I wanted to bring you some actually concrete numbers to let you know what $892 looks like starting. I have a pay stub of a firefighter who's 4 years on, which means he doesn't make $892, he makes around $10 an hour. We have overtime built into our schedule, which has been a great thing for our department, and it's broken down into 7 hours for 1 week is 17 hours, and the next week is 24 hours. 3 different looks on checks. On this gentleman's 7-hour check, he brought home $396 in a 2-week pay period. That is with supplemental state pay, which some of you have talked about before in the past. That's an extra $230. Without that $230, his paycheck would be roughly $100-something. So I wanted to give you that. I also wanted to give you the high end. With his 24-hour paycheck, it's a little under $600, and that also has a $230 and some odd change dollars from our supplemental pay. So even with the supplemental pay on a gentleman who's making $10 an hour, who's providing for his family with his insurances, that is what a 2-week check looks like. That is what a pay period looks like for a lot of the guys. And the ones that are starting off that are younger are making even less. So I wanted to give you some concrete numbers so that you understand exactly what our men and women are making in our department. The last thing is I wanted to talk about an article that I read about the New Orleans Fire Department. If you don't know, the New Orleans Fire Department has made some pretty large strides in helping their department. And I wanted to read a quote from one of the council members from New Orleans. He says, an hourly wage of $15 is the minimum amount needed to keep an individual's food on the table, keep their lights on, and keep a roof over their head. The council member's name was Jared Bissett. Rising the minimum wage is a concrete step that the city can and should take to improve life outcomes for our residents. It goes hand in hand. If we can compensate the men and women that protect our city and allow them to stay here and trying to find jobs elsewhere, then we should be able to, it would also in turn help the city. Thank you.
Mr. Hotard, your 3 minutes is up.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Next on the list is Nick Zalva. Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Nicholas Zalva. I live at 802 Dante Street, New Orleans. I work for the Kenner Fire Department as a fire driver. I'm also the Kenner Firefighter Association's vice president. I'd like to speak today and highlight some of the surrounding departments' starting salary pay rates before state pay, as it relates to the competitiveness of this department in the market. New Orleans Fire Department, over the course of the last few years, will have gone from a starting pay rate of approximately $11.60 to a reported $15.40. Harahan Fire Department has gone from a starting pay rate of $8 in range, has gone to $13.50 this year. Third District, another neighboring department, starts at $12 after its first year of probation. These are just a few of the departments as an example of the direction we need to head. A Kenner firefighter should be able to make a middle-class living in the city they put their life on the line for from day one. From the time that rookie steps boots on the fire truck and is exposed to all the risks we know and accept as firefighters. With a starting pay rate of $8.92, this is a difficult task to achieve. The word minimum should not be paired with a progressive fire department. Staying competitive is vital to the long-term recruitment and retention of our city's fire department. I ask that we collectively examine how we can improve this together. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the list is Ryan Nugent. Please state your name and address for the record.
Thank you, Councilman Brannigan. My name is Ryan Nugent. I live at 5444 Erlanger in District 3. I'd like to start by wishing everybody a Happy New Year. I know we all hope this is a year of changing tides for the city of Kenner. As much as I believe it's an issue that still needs to be addressed with some urgency, I'm actually going to give everyone a break from hearing me talk about lighting tonight. Instead, I'd like to address the council and the administration on the subject of code enforcement. We all know the importance of code enforcement, and it's no secret that one of the biggest challenges the department faces is staffing, which clearly is not an issue that's unique to code enforcement. When I talked with someone in code enforcement, it was 9 or 10 months ago, I was told that there were 17 open positions within the department. When I spoke with Ms. Topple briefly following the November 18th council meeting, I was again told that there were 17 open positions in the department. A couple years ago, Councilman Hayes asked me to dig into the Kenner Code of Ordinances regarding a particular subject matter to see if Kenner's code was on par with modern codes in other cities. What I reported back to the councilman, to our mutual surprise, was that Kenner's code on the particular issue was actually very comprehensive. The problem was then as it is today. You can have the most comprehensive code in the world, but it doesn't do you any good unless you have the manpower to enforce it. This is to say nothing of the sense of unfairness that comes from selective enforcement of the law. So my questions are, number one, what is the present staffing situation and have there been any recent changes? Two, what are the specific issues that we're having with recruiting? Is it compensation, which seems kind of likely? Is there a lack of qualified applicants? And number three, what is the long-term plan for getting those positions filled?
Well, all of them hinder our ability to hire people. Civil service jobs aren't high paying. We can't get qualified applicants. We have an applicant now that doesn't meet the standards of what's in his civil service class plan that we can't hire. And it is a challenge. We have plenty, from the police department, fire is almost fully staffed. But every department is down plenty. Public works is one of the worst. They working on at best day a 50%, which they employ what they budgeted for. But every day we are trying to hire people. We finally trying to catch up. I think they made a lot of progress in the last 6 weeks on getting some backlogs of complaints, plan reviews, and all that done, so where they can move forward and not catch up with the backlog. But look, we'll welcome anybody that meets the qualifications that we can hire. We're trying to hire people now, but on paper we can't do it because there's a requirement in the civil service class plan that you have to have 3 years office experience. Could be the greatest person ever coming out of college, never worked in office, and we can't hire them. So that's something that we have to address, and we've had a couple of meetings today on it, coincidentally. So I know it sounds like a lot of nothing. I can tell you there's no concrete numbers. And Catherine, how many are you down? Still 6, 15? So
it's better than 17.
There you go. And hopefully next time we have more. Yes. And you'll see a hiring campaign come for all offices within the city. So we try to get some qualified people that are actually willing to work.
And
Ron,
I talked to Catherine quite a bit about that issue, and I can't tell you how many times she's told me that she's had applicants apply, like 10, and then 2 show up, or 5 and 1 shows up. I've heard this from her 4 or 5 times, so believe me, they are very active in trying to get people in that office, because I'm big on code enforcement too, and she's doing an incredible job with the resources she has. That it's being worked on, and believe me, I'm your councilman, and I want code to work very efficiently, but we have the lady in charge to do it. She just needs some help, so that's where it is.
Well, thank you very much for the information. I appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
Okay, is there anyone else that wants to address the council?
Yes, I do.
Yes, sir.
I should have done it right after Matt spoke, but met with the fire chief yesterday after an agenda meeting. The promotional pay plan that he is almost complete. Then he's going to meet with these guys to show them exactly what procedure he used to come up with the rate of pay, the promotional rate of pay. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of adjustments made after they put their 2 cents in. But yes, Matt, and I encourage them to come whenever they can to address the council on fire pay and issues in the fire department, because it's not going to get fixed if we talk amongst ourselves here and nobody else hears, the problems that these guys have been having. And the surrounding areas have large millages that get these pay increases in all their equipment. So we'll have to have a long, hard look at exactly how we're going to fund the fire department and kind of keep them level in the surrounding areas. I always tried to keep the police department on the higher end of people getting paid around here. So it's kind of a challenge now when I inherited something where they're on the lower end of the area fire departments. But like I said, I encourage them to come and continue to make a case on their pay and equipment.
Well, Mayor Glaze, it's great to hear that you're working on that with the administration, and as long as the communication with the fire department's included, that's the way to have a solution to the problem. Councilmember Dunn would like to say something.
Yeah, I forgot to say this earlier. I had so much on my mind. But on January the 16th, that's about 2 weeks or so from now, we will be celebrating the Martin Luther King Day parade celebration in our district. We're going to have a parade starting from Providence to the A.P. Clay Center. I just want to say that this is open to everyone that want to participate. Our office, we're getting calls about participation, and it looks very, very good for this. This is the first time that I am putting on any event of this nature, but we promise that it will be good. It will be informative. We will have acts. We will have people speaking, and the community is welcome. So, of course, we're inviting our mayor, the police chief, the council, and the administration, whoever want to come, and of course the residents of this area. So far our response have been good, but we need your prayer that we will have a very safe parade and celebration. Thank you. It's on January the 16th. We line up at Providence Baptist Church for 9. The parade starts at 11. And the ceremony, it's about 12:15. We're not going to make it, too long, but it will be nice. We can assure you that. Thank you.
Okay, well, the meeting is over. Do I have a motion?